Anthony Slater covers the Warriors and the NBA for The Athletic. He was there last night. Set the scene there, Anthony. It was all fun and games. Everybody okay with on the same page with the Warriors?
Sure. It's like the celebratory night where they celebrate last season.
Yeah.
I would say there's still some awkwardness, among Draymond Green and his teammates. And even, in the press conference, there remains a little bit of iciness, I think, on Jordan Poole's side. But, the veterans have defended Jordan Poole so forcefully. And then, they keep winning. And you can win within that, I think.
Draymond's had some comments. TNT has a documentary on him, and it's almost like he embraced this. It's not like he is remorseful whatsoever. Is that your read on Draymond through all of this?
I mean, he at least his initial press conference accepted responsibility that he was at fault. There were a couple times within the press conference you could tell he was trying to hint at, like, well, if you knew the full context, but we shouldn't even go down that road. So there's a level of defiance with him, and his second press conference was not quite as contrite as his first one. And like you said, not only did he do the documentary last night, but he's had these like 3 documentary photographers or videographers that were around all camp, which is always an interesting thing to happen. It's been put by a few people like this feels like the end days of a marriage where the kids aren't quite yet off to college, but you're sticking together because the greater goal, and the greater goal is this is still the title favorite probably, and a chance to win 5. But with every, the money situation and the transitioning of eras within this franchise that it feels like has created a kind of odd umbrella over everything. Yet, I mean, they look as good as ever.
Did those camera guys working on the documentary catch any of the fight with Jordan Poole and Draymond Green? Were they at the practice?
I don't believe so, because we would have saw HD footage if so, right? I mean, I haven't.
Well, they might be holding it though, Anthony, if they've got it. And Draymond seems to almost embrace, hey, man, people know who I am, and social media and new media and all of that. It's not, hey, it's just one thing. Who cares?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually. I heard it was like a 25-minute pregame doc, right? I've seen some of the clips of him talking. I haven't seen the whole thing. I heard they showed the punch within it. I assume they showed the TMZ version, unless they had the HD version. But I'm not sure Draymond would have greenlit the HD version of that being shown.
But I want to know, if I'm TMZ and I'm going to buy that video, whoever leaked it, why wouldn't I show it all the way through the punch? And then what happened right after that, to me, is just as interesting. Did Draymond go to help him up? Was Poole knocked out? Did Steph Curry or Klay Thompson or Steve Kerr do anything, say anything? Practice is closed. So I have more questions attached to it. If Draymond goes over and helps him up and, I'm sorry, then maybe it softens it a little bit here. But I'm curious, why cut off the video that you paid for right after the punch?
Yeah, maybe that's all they were sent. But I mean, I could tell you what I've heard. No, I mean, he had to be like pulled off. And as far as
Draymond went in for the kill, like he was.
I don't know that he was like. Again, this is secondhand reporting. I haven't seen the video on it, but I don't think he was like throwing more punches. But I think it was still. Like it was a situation where he still needed to, maybe he was just talking, but had to be kind of separated. And they have like an adjacent weight room that like, I think I've heard all the veterans kind of dragged him over to and like kind of had to calm him down within that situation.
Yeah. And through it all, and I agree with you. I loved him last year. I love him again this year. I'm waiting to see that youth movement. We saw it with Jordan Poole. But you got Kuminga and Moody, you got James Wiseman. To make that next step might be the key if this team's going to win another championship with this group. And then trying to get everybody minutes as well is going to be challenged. They're probably 10 deep, Anthony.
11 deep. Moody was the 11th guy they put in last night in the first half, which is like, you don't do that in NBA rotations. Typically it's like 9, like stretch it to 10. Part of that is like Klay's on a minutes limit. But I mean, I think Moses Moody's ready. Like if you put Moses Moody on the Charlotte Hornets, I think he's getting 30 minutes a night, and he's like got 6 minutes last night as
Yeah.
the 11th man. So I like what I've seen from the youth. Comparatively to what last I saw them. Last I saw them, James Wiseman was not ready. He looked more ready last night. I mean, I thought he was a very capable backup big man. I liked what Kuminga did in the preseason. They're going to use him in like switchable, more athletic lineups. And this is a team historically that really isn't that athletic. It's more of like a skill-based team. So they're kind of like, infusing something new to this team. You saw more pick and roll with Wiseman on the floor last night. It's typically a very anti-pick and roll team, but him and Poole kind of have a nice mix there. So it's different. And as somebody who has to cover it on a daily basis, I just like watching like different versions of the same team.
All right, give me your assessment of the Lakers. If I'm a Laker fan and I'm listening to your opinion of what they can expect this season, what would that be?
Of the playoff hopefuls, I think they might have the worst, like 3 through 15, 3 through 10 roster in the league. And that's just a problem. I mean, I think you just saw last night, like the depth on display, like what rotation Laker beyond LeBron and Anthony Davis would be in the Warriors rotation. I mean, for example, Juan Toscano-Anderson, who was very, useful for the Warriors and they love him there. But last year he was not in their playoff rotation. Like he just sat on the bench and watched the playoffs. He might be like their 5th or 6th best player, the Lakers currently.
Wow.
It's just, they're not deep. They don't shoot. They're really small in the backcourt. It's like a non-2022 type team. I do like Davis looks good. He looked good in the preseason. He had a 22-point first half against the Warriors when Draymond was away from the team. And I think that, gives them a nice 1-2 punch. Although LeBron's 38, I don't quite think he has that top gear that he used to. I think you saw it last night. Steph Curry closed the door. LeBron, I'm not sure that gear is there again when he's, in those titanic clashes against the Giannis's of the world. And if 1-2 aren't completely dominant, and I just think they're, what you'd expect 3 through 15. Like I see play in definitely. Like I think it's a 7 through 10 type team that might even slip beyond.
Clippers still. It feels like everybody loves the Clippers out west. What am I missing there with the Clippers? I know they got depth and you got Kawhi and Paul George, but then that can also be part of the problem with Kawhi and Paul George.
Yeah, I mean, because we do this in every sport before the season. Like you just like health is like guaranteed in your mind, right? Every single player is playing all 82 games and like will be there in the playoffs. And if that is the case with the Clippers, if like their entire team is available and Kawhi Leonard looks like he did pre-ACL injury, and we have no idea. I mean, we have not seen Kawhi play. But if that is the case, yeah, they're theoretically built really well deep. Their owner spends like crazy, just like the Warriors does. They have the 2 top tax bills ever. And that is how you get more depth, right? You're willing to pay. Basically, the Clippers get an extra Norm Powell, just like the Warriors get an extra Andrew Wiggins to just beef up your roster. And, I think about them in a West Finals matchup if they are healthy. And they do, profile as a team that would defend the Warriors well. A bunch of wings, switchable guys, guys with playoff history against the Warriors. Kawhi in particular may have played better than anyone historically against the Warriors in the playoffs. So I like them as a theoretical team, but who will be available? When will they be available? I have no idea.
Anthony, good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Anthony Slater. He covers the Warriors and the NBA for The Athletic. Yeah, every time I leave out the Clippers when people say, oh, who do you like out west? And I somehow leave out the Clippers. It's just habit. But the odds are there for the Clippers to be, it looks like, their odds might be better than Golden State's right now to win it all, which I still find remarkable. Feels like the Bucks became a sleeper all of a sudden, where you're like, everybody talks about the Nets. The Celtics have had drama. James Harden and the Sixers and Joel Embiid, and then all of a sudden you go, what about the Bucks? And the Bucks may like it like that. Yeah, Marv.
They might end up being like the Warriors. The Warriors are out of sight, out of mind because of injuries and things like that, and they might come back with a vengeance. And I think Giannis, he might be coming for an MVP only because people are not writing them off, but they're not on the tip of everyone's tongues as far as a playoff favorite.
I wonder if Giannis can win another one now. Because what would he do where you'd go, yep. I mean, it's tricky when it comes to voting, and I voted on these awards in the NBA. And I wasn't fair looking back on Barkley's season and Karl Malone's season when they won MVPs, because I still looked at the totality of the season and thought there's nobody more valuable than Michael Jordan. And it played out that way because he beat the Suns in the title for the title that year, and he beat Utah for the title that year. Looking back, I should have acknowledged what Barkley had done and Karl Malone had done. I just thought, okay, who's the most valuable player? And it's Michael Jordan. And I couldn't get that out of my mind, and that's how I voted. Yeah, Marv.
A guy like Giannis, the Bucks would have to have an historic season. They got to win 68, 69 games and be completely dominant in order for Giannis to win. I think you're right there, because now Luka and whoever else, they're coming for it.
Well, Luka his window is there. It's just at what point do you then move on because there's going to be somebody else? Then it's going to be Ja Morant. It's almost like a shooting gallery where you get to move along and then nobody picked me off. Okay, I get to come back around, and then all of a sudden you have to have a good story that's attached to this. NBA tip-off hotline presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. The promo code is Patrick. Make any $5 bet this week. Get $200 if your team wins.